Hello, everyone. This is Andre and Soli with Peace, Love, and Chocolate, our podcast where we bring back the family and bring back, I was going to say American values. It's traditional values. We're here with the baby. He's wrapped up in mommy's little wrap. And today we bring back the podcast with the third episode of the second season. And if you're listening, we're doing signs and we're doing weird things
Signs
because
and wonders.
we are a little weird, and that's okay. So, Soli?
Yes, today we are going to be talking about the second part 2, the second half of our love story. And we are going to be revealing one of the biggest secrets of our lives. Within this episode, only a select few people in the entire world know this about us. So we are very excited to get into it. We left off with when we had first started dating back in November 14th, Andre's 24th birthday. And it was the year 2019. I was 19 years old. Andre had just turned 24. And we were
That is true.
Pretty much just head over heels in love.
Wait, where did he start? What was the date?
November 14th, 2019.
Okay, yes.
Right? 2019.
Yeah, we did get to that. Was
it 2019? Yes.
Yes.
No, it was
2018. 2018, yes. Yes, so that was November, my birthday. We left off with me asking you to be my girlfriend, right?
Yes.
And just a tiny little backstory to that. I already knew once I got back from my trip and I saw Soli was going to be my wife. And I was like, wow, I know that this guy, because if you remember from last episode, and if you haven't listened to it, go and listen to it because it gives you a lot of backstory to what we're going to talk about today. But it was basically me saying it was a lot of trouble, and when I came back, God had really just changed my heart, and I didn't want to date anyone. I was like, I'm not dating nobody. And Sully was cute and everything, but I was like, I'm not going to date nobody right now. I don't want to date. I don't want to think about girls in that way at all and all that. And then as that happened, when I came back and God changed my heart, I saw Sully and I was like, because I said, God, I'm not going to date anyone until I know that you brought me my wife. And then I came back and Sully was literally like, I was like, okay, this is my wife. And it was not at all because, it wasn't forcing anything or anything at all. It was surprising actually to me that God had brought her into my life. And me knowing that it was going to be, who I wanted to be with for the rest of my life because all the things that I knew I wanted in a wife, Sully was. And so that's how we started our relationship, was more like me thinking. I didn't say that because I didn't want to play with her heart, and we don't know the future, right? So I didn't want to just say, I know you're going to be my wife. So I didn't say it like that, and I don't advise anyone to do that either because you never know what the future is going to hold, and you really have no idea if things could change or whatever, right? So I just kept it to myself, but in my heart I knew that. So
I think you did say I want to be with you for a long time. When he started off, when he asked me, he said, I want to date and I don't want this to just be like a little fling, I want this to be something that lasts a long time. And I was like, okay, fine with me. Shoot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I wanted to say that I did say that. I did say I don't want this to be, because I wanted her to know that it's going to be serious. Obviously, I didn't want to just be like, oh, we're just dating and seeing what happens. Mm-hmm. No, obviously, I wanted her to know it was serious, but I wasn't going
to. It'll be.
Yeah.
We weren't like that. We were like.
But I was also not just saying things that I knew were going to get her hopes up and would be like, oh, we're going to get married, when I didn't I knew that, but I didn't.
We both kind of knew that, but at the same time, we didn't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, it's just wiser to make sure that you also acknowledge the moment and the time for things, right?
Yeah.
So I did end up saying something like that, and then that I didn't say that. But to me, dating period was just a confirmation that she was going to be my wife. I just didn't know for
Yeah.
how long we were going to date. And honestly, it was like a couple months before her family was even like shot. Like I remember her dad was like for Christmas or for around like, remember it was November, and around Christmas time, a little before then, I remember Soli's dad being like, shotgun wedding anyone?
Yeah, I know. Well, I was surprised that we dated for as long as we did. And was I was definitely expecting to date for a shorter period of time. But obviously that didn't happen, which is fine. It all turned out. And it really did end up being a breeze. It was really fun. We did, a lot of one-on-one dates. We did a lot of hanging out with
her
my family. That was like the majority, I feel like, of our dating period, just
Yes.
with my family.
Oh. That's the baby, by the way, if you're listening.
Yeah, and we talked about how long we'd wanted to date for. Okay, Andre, the first time we talked about it, we were like, yeah, a year sounds like a good amount of time. Then the second time we talked about it, he like upped it to like 2 years. I was like, that is a long time. But we discussed it and came to the conclusion that if we were still dating at the end of 2 years and not engaged or anything like that, then we would reevaluate our relationship and say, okay, why aren't we married yet?
Yeah, because
2 years is a long time. Like, you already should know by 2 years whether or not you want to marry a person. So for us, we talked about reasons why we wouldn't get married, like why we would hold off getting married. And we determined we didn't want things that a lot of people tend to put as reasons to hold us off because we knew that God was calling us to be married. So we didn't want to have fear, to have any of these things hold us back because we trusted God. So things like finances. I mean, Andre had a job. That was important, of course, that he had a job. I was working too. So, we made sure that he would be able to provide, but it wasn't like we were afraid. I mean, Andre's always had a job.
But it was always more of my side because Sully didn't really, I mean, I'm sure she thought of it, but I don't think it was on her like forefront of reasons not to get married. For her, it was just like, no, I can see that.
Yeah.
I think, right, for you, it was
I couldn't think of any reasons why we wouldn't get married, really.
Yeah, and to me, it was like, oh, I don't want to have no money before we get married. Like, I don't want to go and be poor, like, during the start of our marriage. I don't want to start out just in a bad way, like in a bad timing. Basically, that's it.
Which, funny story about that. So the whole time I had known Andre, he was either a student or he worked at churches. And in my mind, he was just always going to do what he was doing, which was like music production, music something entrepreneurial type, have his own business, and then like lead worship at church. And one day he came and picked me up from work, and I worked at Chick-fil-A at the time. And we were eating food, and he was like, so I got a job. I was like, what? He got a job.
This moment was really hard for Sully.
You guys, it was... Oh, I cried because in my mind, I thought that what he was already doing was good enough. And when he started like getting into it and telling me about it, first of all, I was like, I cannot believe this is the kind of job you just got. It was door-to-door sales for a window company. He was knocking on people's houses 8 hours a day, trying to sell windows. And I couldn't fathom him in that type of job, and I knew it would take away so much time from being able to spend with him. It was such a like selfish thing, but I cried like no other person in the history of ever would cry when their or boyfriend, I guess, at the time. Were
Were we engaged yet?
I can't remember. No.
I don't remember. I think
It just happened.
yeah,
It
we
was
were
something that
engaged.
happened in
No,
the
we were
past.
engaged already. We were engaged already.
But like, who cries when their fiance's like, "I got a job. it's like not a fun job, but I'm doing this so I can provide." Like, we're about to have a wedding and go on a honeymoon and like start our lives together.
Yeah, and I knew we needed the extra income, because of all the expenses that were coming up for the wedding and like.
You did a good job, Andre, because I would not. I would not have gotten that job. Obviously, I don't want a job because I want
Yeah,
babies.
and at the time it was like almost 3 jobs because I was doing my music production, and I was working at the church, and I was doing the window thing.
Yeah. But the dating period was a lot of fun. We got to know each other even better. And
Yeah, but I feel like I think 3 months in we knew each other very well. 4 months, I would say 4 months in, there wasn't anything after that really about our personalities that.
Yeah, and we made sure
really-
to talk about, the big things. And I was waiting to be proposed to. And I was, I loved dating, but I was like, come on, I want a short dating period. I want to be the person that says, we dated for 4 weeks and then he proposed. But he didn't propose until my 20th birthday.
Yes.
And
by the way, stick around because you want to listen to our little secret.
yes. So my 20th birthday, I didn't think he was going to propose to me, but at the same time, I kind of had like, okay, this would be a good time to propose if he did propose. So I wanted to be ready just in case. So that morning, it was June 5th.
Wait. Remember when before you tell that story, remember when we went down to Fort Myers? It was a month after we were dating.
Oh yeah, Christmas time. He took me down to Fort Myers. We met up with some of his friends and had a really nice dinner. We went and saw Christmas lights. It was like so romantic. It would have been such prime time to propose, but he didn't. I was like,
Even I remember her dad thought I was gonna propose then,
yeah.
and I was like, haha, tricked y'all.
So
Yeah. So then fast forward our dating period.
June 5th. We had been dating for like
7
months. And I had sneaking suspicions that this was going to happen. And that morning I went got my nails done. And if you watch our first video on how we met and our dating period, the one right before this, the first podcast, we talk about my first date. So what he did was recreated that first date. And at the end of it, he proposed. And what he did, if you remember in the last episode, I had lost my purity ring in a restaurant. And
I took her to do the same things we did the first date.
Yeah.
So like we went out for lunch, right?
well, we
No,
didn't
no.
go for lunch the first
The
date,
first
but he
date
took
we
me
went to the Dali Museum, and then we went to
the movies and dinner.
Oh yeah, no. First we went to dinner, maybe I don't know.
We went to the movies first
And then
because you
dinner.
proposed at dinner.
Oh yeah, no, but I mean for your first date.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But anyway, we did the same things, and then I took her to the same restaurant we went to.
Yeah. And so he took me back to this Italian restaurant, and he had the waitress, all the staff was in on it. I had no idea. But our waitress was talking. She was super talkative, asking about us. And I was like, wow, she is so friendly and nice. And she was like, so how'd you all meet? And we're like, actually, we had our first date here. And then I was like, oh, funny story. I lost my ring while I was here. And Andre's like, I wonder if anyone's ever found it. And she's like, well, we have this lost and found in the back. It's kind of like a black hole. Like things just are dropped in there and you never see them again. I was like, oh my goodness, that would be so funny if my ring was in there. And she's like, I'll go look. And she went to go look, and she came out and she held out the ring. She's like, here's what I have. And Andre's like, that's not the ring, but...
And I
he
grabbed
took it. And what did you say?
I said, but this is the ring that I got for you. Because I want you to marry me.
Yes. And I was like, I can't believe it. Finally. A few minutes before, because that whole day I was kind of...
And she was shaking.
Hoping it would happen. I wasn't banking on it happening. I would have been disappointed if it hadn't happened. But I was like, come on, this is prime. This
you did
is
her
like
nails and everything. Right?
Perfect. Yeah, I had my nails done, all that. And I'd never wanted to be proposed to in a restaurant, but this was like perfect. It was just perfect. And before, like a couple minutes before, Andre like got all serious, and he's like, so what do you think about our like dating so far? It's like, I love it, and you know, we don't really want to be dating for more than 2 years, blah blah blah. And he's like, I feel like there's just a lot of pressure, you know, from like your family and like friends, and it's really nice because I know that I do want to marry you at some point, but it's also nice to just like take it slow and to just trust God and not rush or not worry about it.
Yeah, that was my curveball. I was like, wait, because I saw she was like kind of excited. I was like, and this is a real nice restaurant. I'm like, just in case she knows what's going on, I'm just going to let her know that she's not going to get married anytime soon.
Yeah. And so my stomach definitely did drop. And then I was like, you know what? He's right. Like, no, like, we just got to trust God. And I knew that Andre would know the perfect timing to propose to me. And I knew it was going to happen. So I was like, guess we're going to get a little closer to that 2-year mark. Okay. But then, you know, a couple minutes later, and she had brought me out a heart-shaped pizza. I thought it was special because it was my birthday. So they gave me a cute little heart-shaped pizza. And then, you know, after he proposed, they also gave us a dessert. And there was another couple in the restaurant that paid for our meal.
Yeah.
They
By the way,
paid
I just
and got
want to
us
say
champagne.
that Sully was like crying and shaking. And when I first proposed, or I didn't even propose, I just said, hey, I'm going to marry you. I just said, hey, I'm going to marry you. And she was like, Andre. And she kept repeating my name. And then she was like,
after I gave birth.
Yeah, exactly.
Andre.
Exactly. And she was just like, and she didn't talk. I was like, at first I was like, oh my goodness, she's so cute. Like, she's like, but then after a little while, she didn't say anything, and she was like, I was like,
my word.
Are you okay?
I did not remember being that
You
dramatic.
were, oh my goodness. You definitely were so dramatic. I was like, are you all right? So I just like hugged her, and she kept, and then after like she looked at me, she was like, okay. You know, and she kind of calmed down, and then I was like, oh yeah. And then I gave her a hug, and then everyone clapped.
Yeah, the restaurant, and we had lots of champagne brought to us, but neither of us drink champagne. I can't even legally drink. I don't even like the taste of alcohol. I couldn't. I don't even like the taste of alcohol. Then we had all this champagne. We're like,
Yeah, they brought us champagne, and then someone else brought us more champagne.
Yeah, paid for more. And then we went back to my house.
They gave us a free meal, too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a couple paid for it, right?
Yeah.
We went back to my house, and my family was there and a couple of my friends. And when we walked in, my sisters all like knew, like they didn't know, but they knew. And my best friend. And so they were all so excited. As soon as I walked in, they just freaked out. And I tried to kind of conceal it from them for a minute, but they knew.
Yeah, and they were already
everyone
crying.
was so happy.
I remember Talia was already crying.
Yeah. They were all crying, and my parents already knew that it was happening because Andre had
I had asked
them
for David's blessing.
Mm-hmm. So, you should tell them about that. If there's any guys listening wanting to know how to go about asking the Father for the blessing.
There's not much to it. You just go up to them and you say, hey, I want to marry your daughter. First, obviously, you don't want to just say that, but you just say, or at least what I said was, the first thing I did was when I realized I wanted to marry Sully, I was like, I remember the night that I made the decision, all right, I'm going to marry her, was, you know what? It's funny is that I knew I wasn't going to propose because I'm like, you want to marry me? It's not like I don't know, you know?
Will you marry me? Let me think about it.
Yeah, exactly. So then, but the night that I made the decision, like, okay, I'm going to, propose, or at least make the decision that we're going to get married now, I remember thinking, why didn't I just do this sooner? What took me so long? Really, I was like, what in the world took me so long? And I remember I talked to my dad about it, and he was the first one to know, and he was like, oh, I'm glad, and he was happy, and he, gave me some tips. I think I filmed that. I don't know if I have it somewhere. And then I remember I asked for David's blessing, and he said, I said, I want to, as you know, I think he saw it coming for sure, because he's like, I want to talk to you. And then we went off to a room, and it was very private, and Rosie was like, Rosie wanted to know, my mother-in-law, she wanted to know what was going on, and she was like wanting to be in there. And then, I like that David was like, it's okay. Like, go on.
Go away.
And then Rosie was like, oh, okay. And she kind of just walked out. And then we went in this room, and I said, I want to let you know that, as you know, Soli and I have been dating, and I love Soli. I want what's best for her. I see us as a good couple, that I can definitely see God's hand in our relationship, and I can just see how God has placed us together to be with each other, and there's not a doubt in my mind about that. So I want to ask you for your blessing to marry Soli. And he was like, and he was like, he had a poker face on. He was like,
he knew. He was probably like,
yeah, he did.
I can imagine
exactly.
him.
That's yep. That's exactly what he did. And then he was like, yeah. Well, and then he went on like this spiel. I was like, oh, so boring. Just kidding. No, he went on.
Okay, David, hurry up.
No, he was like,
just kidding.
He was like, I want to let you know that we always, we don't really care about what you do, given as long as like whoever's gonna marry our daughters, we don't care what they do as long as it's
they're
ethical.
Mexican.
We don't care if they're Mexican, just kidding, or if they're white or black. If you want to be my baby, it don't matter if you're black or white, as Michael Jackson said. And I was like, you listen to Michael Jackson? He's like, heck yeah, I listen to Michael Jackson. I was like, oh yeah.
And that was the end of it.
And then I walked out because I'm like, that's a pedophile.
My word.
No, scratch all that. But he was like, whoever is going to marry our daughters, we want them to. We don't really care about what they do as long as it's ethical. We don't care about if they have money. He's like, which I know a lot of people would disagree with that, but what we really care about is if they love Jesus. He said something. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to that extent. Like, we really care about if they love Jesus, and we can see that you love Jesus, and so that's what we care about. Anything else to us is secondary. We want whoever marries our daughters to love Jesus. And that was basically it. The other thing he says, because Soli's an amazing singer, so he's like, please don't have her stop singing. Like, always like encourage her in that. And I said, no. No.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I was like, I'm trying to get her pregnant. Just kidding.
Oh my word, Andre.
This is now an X-rated podcast.
He's like, I don't care as long as I can give her babies one day.
No, but then I really appreciated how candid he was, and that was it. After that, I was nervous for that. That was probably the part I was most nervous for, because I knew that getting married without his blessing would have happened probably, but it would have been a lot harder. And it would have been, harder on everyone, and especially for Soli. and it would have just been bad.
But
for
we
the
knew,
family.
like, our family has loved Andre since they first met him, basically.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was afraid. It was just like it was like I'd obviously never done that before.
Which
so.
I just have to say, I don't understand how men propose to these girls and the girls turn them down. Or they're like surprised or shocked or like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
why would you propose to somebody who you don't know for sure already wants to marry you?
Yeah, my advice for guys out there that are thinking of proposing to someone, your girl should be almost begging you to get married. If she's not, then it's a problem because you shouldn't come to your girl with the idea of marriage and her be like, "Oh, let's talk about it." No, that's a no. She should be like, "Please, like, not please." She's not gonna say it because girls are, most girls have dignity like that. But you should sense that she is just so ready to get married and she's
Yeah.
like, anytime, any day now,
And also, girls, if you want to get married, don't date a guy that doesn't want to get married or is indifferent about marriage. If you know you want to get married. Because I know just too many girls that are like, yeah, I want to get married, but he does not want to get married right now. Like, he's not even interested. Like, you need to marry a guy that's interested in getting married because there's no guarantee that he will change and that you will ever get married if that's what you want. And don't compromise on that because you shouldn't. You should want to
Yes.
get married if you're in that kind of relationship. That should be your end goal.
Yep. And the same thing when it comes to children too,
Yeah.
If you're like, I don't want kids, and the other person's like, nah, and then you just keep dating forever,
You're never going to have kids. You're always going to...
or you're just going to suffer for 10 years.
Yep.
Might as well.
Yep. So, back to our story. He proposed to me. It was amazing. The next day, my family was going on a trip to Tennessee, and we were bringing the lovely
Literally,
Andre Osorio with us.
It was like a few days after.
It was like, I think, the next day or the day after.
And her dad knew, so he was like, it's going to be so fun.
Yeah, and on our way up to Tennessee, we stopped in Cloudland Canyon. I think that's in Georgia, or is it in Tennessee? I can't remember, but it's in the mountains, this like amazing canyon. And when we went, it was rainy. It was raining and like overcast, but it was so much fun. And we hiked down to this waterfall. And at the end, because Andre, the ring that he had given me on our engagement night was not my official ring. It was just like a, stand-in. And he told me that the other one was still coming, like through Amazon or something, in the mail, and he didn't
Not through
know.
Amazon.
Oh, I don't know. It was still being delivered, and he was like, I don't know when it's. I was like, when is it coming? He's like, I don't know. Like, he didn't want me to ask about it. He was like, I'll give it to you when it's here. Don't worry. And so I was like, aw. But I really did like the ring that he gave me. It was really nice. And so we hiked down to this waterfall. And when we got to the bottom of it, he gave me my official ring that he had all along with him. And it was so lovely and nice. Mm-hmm. And after that week, we had to make some decisions about our marriage.
Yeah, and it was good. I really appreciated it in Soli that she didn't push for anything, And if she did, I was like, it's okay. And then she'd be like, okay. There wasn't like because everyone asks you as soon as you're engaged, like, so when's the wedding? When are you doing? What dresses? What are you doing for this? What are you doing for that? And obviously, we just got engaged. Like, we just made the decision to get married, right? Like, for real. So we don't have all the details. And I'm the type of person that I prefer for the details to fall into place as they come.
Rather than forcing
Right.
things, which, yeah.
So we were just we had a good week without having to really talk too much about it. We didn't talk about.
That was really fun.
Yeah, we didn't have a pressure like, oh, let's get it done. It was just like, no, let's just spend the nice time. We're only going to be engaged for, we thought, a short period of time, and it did end up being a short period of time. So there was a moment. Those were moments that we could appreciate. Being engaged, because that moment is never going to come back ever. Not being married, but being in this place of like we're more than
conquerors.
Like we are at this point where we made it. This is a commitment. We made the decision to make a commitment to each other, and then after that we decided, you know what, we're gonna get married soon. Like, and I honestly I was like, hey, we gotta get married like ASAP. But then we didn't know about the wedding, like, because Soli obviously is a girl and wanted a big wedding. And she wanted to, I remember her first guest list was like 300 some people. And Soli was like having such hard cutting, even like 50
I know,
people.
it was sad.
I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
I'm like, cut them. I don't care about them.
Yeah. So what had happened was we had to...
No disrespect, obviously. It was just obviously a lot of money.
Yeah. We had to make the decision to get married basically as soon as we could. Because
And this is part of the secret.
this is where secret comes in. Prepared to be shocked and amazed. We did kind of touch on this in one episode, but not really. So we had to make the decision to get married very quickly because Andre, as you may or may not know, he's an immigrant. He's here on a student visa, and his visa, was it your visa that was about to expire? Or your...
My work permit.
His work permit, which meant once it expired, which it was going to expire in October, once it expired, he would need to reapply for a new one, and then it could be months and months and months and months and months and months and months until it got renewed. So the sooner we got married, the sooner we would have the paperwork in to renew his work permit.
Yes.
Instead of reapplying for the work permit and then having to do it all over again when he
Once we got
did
married.
his change of status once we got married.
Yeah, and let me just address
that
the
makes
elephant
sense.
in the room. I know a lot of people, would listen to something like that and say, he just married solely because he wanted to stay in America.
Oh.
And that's something that is true, by the way.
Oh. The secret
Comes out.
Just kidding. No.
Just so you guys know, I've had the opportunity to marry other people. Matter of fact, some ladies of all ages have literally offered themselves to marry me for the sake of me staying in America. Way before this, a lot of girls have been like, "Oh, I'll marry you. Like, let's just go get married. Like, it's fine. Don't you need like the papers and anyways?" I was like, yes, but not like that, because I don't want to commit fraud, and I'm not the type of person that would marry for something like that. So that definitely was not. Did it have a part to play in how quickly we got married? Probably, but did I take that into consideration as to like who was going to be my wife? No.
It wasn't because he wanted to be, it wasn't because he wanted to be an American, but it was because it was more practical for us to make sure that he would not be for and ever without a job.
so that I would be able to provide for us, because I didn't want solely working for me while I wasn't going to be able to work. That would have been, I would not have done that no matter what.
Yeah.
but that's
you can't.
that's the biggest reason why I was like, I don't want to be without a job, not being able to work while Soli has to over there slave away. What the heck kind of marriage is that? It's completely backwards.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do that.
So instead of having him reapply for a work permit and then a couple, whenever we got married, do all that paperwork again to change his status, because you can't change your status until you get married, in our case, we just decided to do it all at once. So we made the decision to get married super quickly.
Her birthday is June 5th. Mm-hmm. And then
less than a month later,
we got married July 4th.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to just do like a little go to the courthouse. Literally, like, we didn't want to make it a big deal. We weren't going to even move in together or anything. We didn't want anyone to know because it was such an interesting situation. And I think if I could go back, then I would have just wanted it to be like the official thing.
Yeah, me
but at
too.
the same time,
The wedding
we didn't
was
even
amazing.
have.
Oh, we had another wedding, like a wedding, celebration. How much later? 3 months later?
Yeah.
And that was what we just celebrated that.
Yeah. As
because
of
it
yesterday.
that was a year ago, basically. But we really got married, I guess, a year and 3 months ago.
Technically, we got married the 4th of July.
So 15 months ago.
And
July, August, September, right? No, so October? It's about, so almost 15 months ago.
Yeah. Our pastor ended up saying that he could do it for us. So we had a ceremony.
Yeah, so this is
at the beach.
It's kind of exciting because we went to the beach, right? And we're like, oh, it's just going to be a little thing, whatever. And then our family came, Soli's family came, and my family was Skyped in, like my parents and my sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And Soli's parents and most of her siblings were there. And my pastor, his wife, and his kids. And they
his
were
kids
there.
weren't there, but my friend was there.
Oh, yeah, and then Soli's friend, Amanda, she took pictures for us. And when we said our vows to each other, we were like, oh my goodness.
That felt more, because we were just like, we just
like,
need
oh,
this. We just need this
for
for the marriage license so we can fill out this paperwork.
Which we do that in Guatemala, by the way. We always have two weddings. We have the legal one, and then we have the ceremony. That's what we call it. Like,
which I didn't realize that was normal. Or I think if I would have known that was like more normal in Guatemalan culture, like what they do, maybe I would have been more okay with it. But I wanted like the big celebration, like the special wedding night, that type of thing.
Which we ended up getting anyways. But yeah. So then after when we got married, we're like, shoot, we're married now.
It was a very weird situation because we're like, we're married, but
we couldn't really tell people because we still had the other wedding to plan for. And so, like Soli said, it was probably a mistake on our part to do that, to not, be upfront about it. But it was very interesting.
I know. I wouldn't really recommend it unless you just make it official. But you didn't even have the apartment at that time.
No,
like, we wouldn't have had a place to live. I mean, I guess you could have found some real quick.
But the thing is that we didn't know it was going to play out that way.
Yeah,
either,
we didn't. So
that's our little secret.
That's it. We've actually been married for over a year, which, I mean, I feel like we're still going to celebrate on the 28th.
Which we just did.
Which we did. We kind of did something for the 4th of July. I mean, we celebrate America on the 4th of July as well. But,
both weddings were so fun. I mean, obviously the second one was more fun in a different way because everyone was there. My whole family was there. It was actually there, and we danced, and it was just amazing. By the way, you could go check out the whole wedding ceremony, not the after part, because I don't know, we didn't film the after part, but you can check out the wedding ceremony, the whole thing.
And we can put the highlights up.
The highlights as well, and we have the singing. Some of the singing is up on our channel, so if you scroll through, you'll watch our wedding, which is really nice. It was really amazing.
It was so fun. It came together. So, yeah, we ended up getting married within the next couple of months.
After we got engaged, we got married less than a month later, and that's kind of our story. You know, we've seen couples literally come and go since we got engaged, since we started dating. I remember I was just like, look at Soli and be like, that couple's not going to last. And then another couple, that couple's not going to last. And then another couple, that couple's not going to last. And literally...
Andre's really good at discerning whether a relationship is... So if you're dating someone, just ask Andre. Just kidding. Don't do that.
No, pretty much. Ask me and I will tell you either if you will end up together or if you will not end up... If you will not end up together or if you will not end up together and be miserable.
Or if you will end up together.
Yeah, that's what I meant. If you will end up together and be miserable.
Yeah.
But so we've literally, that was the cutest
our wedding,
baby song.
I just wanted to say our wedding was our actual wedding, not actual wedding. The September 28th wedding was amazing.
The big one.
It was we were so blessed by so many people. We did not pay like hardly full price for anything that people normally pay full price for. Like, we had a friend make our wedding cake. A friend, for free. We had just,
Shout out to Victorero, Nikki Victorero.
We had friends do photography, videography, the dress, a family member do food, all for like extremely discounted prices. And it was just so incredible. Our wedding venue, which was incredibly beautiful, was free because it's just an amazing family who happens to have a beautiful property that they use for purposes like that. And it was just amazing. Our pastor gave us one of his really nice cars.
So our pastor married us twice.
Yeah. He gave us a really nice car that I had no idea until...
He didn't give us a car.
He gave us a car too. I wasn't done.
Okay. You just made it sound like our pastor gave us a car.
He gave us a car.
I was like,
well,
whoa.
He did give us a car for our honeymoon week to use.
He let us borrow his car.
And it's like a really nice convertible, and I didn't know that until... the end of our wedding night, all the sparklers, and then there's this really nice getaway car, and I'm like, what? It was our car.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then our wedding was a lot of fun, and if I could go back, I would have started it earlier in the day, so we could have just had more time to do
dance.
Things like the reception, which was so much fun. We honeymooned in Asheville. We got to stay at somebody's house for free, like a friend of some family, and it was just so much fun. Like, just finally being able to be married and like go on a trip, just the two of us, and things like that. And then, as you know.
Oh.
Oh no. As you know, about 2 months later, I found out I was pregnant. I had been pregnant for about a month. And you can go and watch our podcast, Having Babies.
And also when she tells me that she's pregnant. Well, that's up on your channel? Or?
That's up on Andre and Sully, me telling him I'm pregnant. So it was kind of like a whirlwind, but I don't look back on it and think like that was a whirlwind. It was nice.
Our whole story has been like one after the other, and we don't stop. And we will not stop.
We don't stop. We can't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Nope.
It's been so fun. It really has been so fun. Learning, growing, because I know that God has kept me growing internally, spiritually. And I know that he's been growing Sully as well, spiritually. And I've literally seen Sully mature so much since I met her. He's known me
since I was like 18, kind of obnoxious, like just me and my friends type person. And now I'm like a wife and a mother.
Yeah, Sully has matured so much. And I've grown so much too. It's really amazing. And this kid has grown up so much too.
He's 2 months old now as of uploading this.
Yes. So that's our story. If you have any questions, I'm sure you have some questions because this was a very intricate episode. So go ahead and ask your questions below about anything,
if
literally
you're watching
about
on YouTube,
our dating life,
or DM us on Insta.
Yes. What's Andre and Sully, or at Sully Oli, and mine is at Andre O Post. I don't currently have Instagram, but I will at some point. And you want to show Carlos?
He just woke up, so I just pulled him out of my wrap.
So yeah, ask us questions. We would love to answer them. Nothing will be too awkward for us to answer, aside from maybe a few things. But ask away. We will love to respond and comment, as well as what you enjoyed about this podcast, what you thought maybe was out of the ordinary, which I think a lot of stuff is in our relationship. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. We are so excited that you're listening to this or watching this podcast. We are Andre and Sully with Peace,
Carlos.
Love, and Chocolate, and little Carlos.
With Peace, Love, and Chocolate. Peace.
He has something to say. There you go. And yeah, see you on the next one.
Bye. Oh, you sweetness. You couldn't handle it no more. That was only a 45-minute nap. Oh. That's so cutie.
All right.
Come here.